For these 5 individuals, the Olympic Games represented the pinnacle of human achievement, international unity, and the pursuit of dreams on the world's biggest stage. But in moments that should have been filled with triumph and glory, tragedy struck with devastating force. These are the stories of Olympic dreams that ended in nightmare. It was February 12, 2010, and the morning air at Whistler Sliding Center crackled with nervous energy as the world's best luge athletes prepared for their final training runs before the Vancouver Olympics competition began. The track, carved into the mountainside north of Vancouver, was renowned as the fastest and most technically challenging luge course ever built, with speeds regularly exceeding 95 miles per hour on its 17 demanding curves. The facility represented the cutting edge of sliding sports engineering, though several athletes had already crashed during practice, raising concerns about its extreme difficulty. Nodar Kumaritashvili adjusted his helmet as he prepared for what would be his final training run, his slight frame belying the courage required to hurtle down an ice track at highway speeds. At 21, the Georgian luge athlete was competing in his first Olympics, carrying the hopes of his small nation and the legacy of his father, who had also been a competitive luger. His youthful enthusiasm and determination had earned him respect among his competitors, though he'd struggled with the Whistler track's unforgiving layout during practice sessions. The Whistler track had been designed to push the boundaries of luge technology, featuring the steepest start in the sport and curves that generated G-forces that tested human endurance. Nodar had been working with his coaches to master the track's intricacies, but the course's speed and technical demands had proven challenging for many athletes. Several competitors had crashed during training, and concerns about safety had been raised, though officials maintained that the track met all international standards. Nodar's Olympic debut represented the culmination of years of training in Georgia's limited facilities, where he'd learned the sport despite having access to only basic equipment and coaching. His family had sacrificed financially to support his luge career, and his presence at the Olympics was a source of immense pride for Georgian sports fans. The young athlete was determined to honor his country and his father's legacy, regardless of the track's intimidating reputation. As Nodar began his final training run, he settled into the aerodynamic position that luge athletes maintain throughout their high-speed descent. The early sections of the track went smoothly as he navigated the challenging curves with the skill that had earned him his Olympic spot. Spectators and officials watched as he built speed through the middle sections, his sled reaching nearly 90 miles per hour as he approached the track's most dangerous area. Coming out of the track's final turn, Nodar lost control of his sled in a split second that would change Olympic history forever. The combination of extreme speed and a slight steering error sent him careening toward the track wall, his sled becoming airborne as it struck the barrier. He was launched over the protective wall at nearly 90 miles per hour, his body flying through the air with devastating force. Nodar struck an unpadded steel support pillar with tremendous impact, the collision causing fatal head and neck injuries that no amount of protective equipment could have prevented. The crash was captured on video and witnessed by other athletes, coaches, and track officials who watched in horror as the young Georgian's Olympic dreams ended in tragedy. Medical personnel reached him within minutes, but the severity of his injuries made survival impossible. Nodar Kumaritashvili was pronounced dead at Whistler Healthcare Center just hours before the opening ceremony was scheduled to begin, casting a shadow over what should have been a celebration of Olympic achievement. The Olympics proceeded as planned, but the luge track was immediately modified with higher walls and additional padding to prevent similar tragedies. Nodar's death sparked intense debate about whether the pursuit of speed in sliding sports had gone too far, leading to comprehensive safety reviews of tracks worldwide. It was July 27, 1996, and the sultry Atlanta evening air pulsed with the sounds of celebration as thousands of Olympic visitors gathered in Centennial Olympic Park for a free concert that embodied the festive spirit of the Games. The 21-acre park had been designed as the heart of Olympic Atlanta, a place where people from around the world could come together to celebrate athletic achievement and international friendship. The outdoor stage featured the band Jack Mack and the Heart Attack, whose energetic performance had drawn a crowd of revelers enjoying the warm summer night. Alice Hawthorne smiled as she watched the concert with her 14-year-old daughter, their faces illuminated by the stage lights as they enjoyed what was supposed to be a magical Olympic experience. At 44, the Albany, Georgia resident had saved for months to bring her daughter to the Olympics, viewing the trip as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to witness history and share in the Olympic spirit. Her enthusiasm for the Games was infectious, and she'd spent the day exploring Olympic venues and soaking in the international atmosphere. The park had become Atlanta's showcase for Olympic hospitality, featuring concerts, exhibits, and celebrations that drew hundreds of thousands of visitors throughout the Games. Alice and her daughter were among the many families who'd made the park their gathering place, enjoying the free entertainment and the chance to meet people from around the world. The festive atmosphere made it easy to forget about security concerns, as the park felt like a safe haven in the heart of the Olympic city. Security guard Richard Jewell had been patrolling the park throughout the evening, his trained eye scanning the crowd for anything unusual. When he discovered a suspicious backpack containing pipe bombs near a sound tower, he immediately began evacuating the area around the device. His quick actions and professional training would save countless lives, though not everyone would escape the coming tragedy. At 1:20 a.m., as the concert continued and thousands of people enjoyed the warm Atlanta night, the pipe bomb exploded with devastating force. The blast sent shrapnel flying through the crowded park, turning a celebration into a scene of chaos and terror. Alice was struck by metal fragments from the bomb, suffering fatal injuries as the explosion tore through the previously peaceful gathering. The bomb's detonation created immediate panic, as concert-goers fled in all directions, many not understanding what had happened or where the danger was coming from. Alice fell to the ground as her daughter screamed for help, the festive atmosphere replaced by the sounds of sirens and crying. Over 100 other people were injured by the explosion and the ensuing stampede, as the park became a battlefield between good and evil. Emergency responders rushed to treat the wounded as chaos erupted throughout the previously festive park. Alice's injuries were too severe to survive, and she became the only direct fatality of the terrorist attack that would forever change Olympic security. Her death represented the loss of innocence that had defined the Olympic movement, as the Games could no longer be considered immune from the world's violence. The Olympics continued despite the bombing, with increased security measures implemented immediately throughout all Olympic venues. Alice's death highlighted the vulnerability of Olympic spectators and led to the comprehensive security protocols that now define modern Olympic Games, ensuring that her sacrifice would protect future Olympic visitors. It was February 22nd, 1992, and the crisp mountain air at Les Arcs carried the excitement of Olympic competition as speed skiers prepared for what would be the final time their sport appeared in the Olympic program. The demonstration sport, where athletes reached speeds exceeding 120 miles per hour on steep mountain slopes, represented the absolute limit of human velocity on skis. The course at Les Arcs was perfectly groomed, with clear skies and optimal snow conditions that promised ideal conditions for the extreme sport that pushed human courage to its limits. Nicolas Beauchataille adjusted his aerodynamic racing suit as he prepared for a warm-up run before the speed skiing finals, his lean frame reflecting years of training in Switzerland's most dangerous skiing discipline. At 27, he was one of his country's top speed skiers, having dedicated his life to mastering a sport that combined technical skill with raw courage. His experience on steep slopes and his understanding of high-speed skiing dynamics had made him a respected competitor in the small community of athletes brave enough to attempt such extreme velocities. Speed skiing had been included as a demonstration sport at the Albertville Olympics, giving athletes like Nicolas a chance to showcase their skills on the world's biggest stage. The sport's inclusion represented recognition of the incredible athleticism required to maintain control while skiing at speeds that would be dangerous in a car. Nicolas had been training for years for this opportunity, knowing that speed skiing's Olympic future was uncertain. and this might be his only chance to compete at the Games. The Les Arcs course was known throughout the speed skiing world for its steep gradient and potential for record-breaking runs. Nicholas had been preparing meticulously for the finals, studying every aspect of the course and fine-tuning his equipment for maximum performance. His teammates and coaches had confidence in his abilities, knowing that his experience and technical skills gave him a legitimate chance at an Olympic medal in the demonstration event. As Nicholas began his warm-up run on a public slope adjacent to the official speed skiing course, everything seemed routine for an athlete accustomed to extreme speeds and challenging conditions. He was skiing with teammates in preparation for the finals, going through the mental and physical preparation that had become second nature over years of competition. The morning conditions were perfect, with visibility excellent and snow conditions ideal for high-speed skiing. During his warm-up run, Nicholas went airborne over a small bump in the terrain, a common occurrence in speed skiing that athletes learn to handle through experience and training. But as he landed, he found himself directly in the path of a snow grooming machine that was operating in the area with its sirens sounding and emergency lights flashing. The collision was unavoidable at the speed he was traveling. Nicholas struck the heavy snowcat with tremendous force, the impact causing fatal injuries that ended his life instantly. The accident occurred at approximately 9:30 a.m. local time, shocking the speed skiing community and Olympic organizers who had never experienced such a tragedy during competition preparation. The collision highlighted the inherent dangers of a sport that pushed human limits to their absolute maximum. The speed skiing finals proceeded as scheduled, though some Swiss competitors withdrew in honor of their fallen teammate. Nicholas's death marked the end of speed skiing's Olympic aspirations, as the sport was immediately removed from future Olympic programs and never returned as an official event. His sacrifice led to enhanced safety protocols for all extreme sports and contributed to more cautious approaches to including high-risk activities in Olympic competition. It was July 14, 1912, and the summer sun blazed mercilessly over Stockholm as marathon runners prepared to tackle 40.2 kilometers of Swedish countryside in temperatures that would reach a dangerous 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The 1912 Stockholm Olympics had drawn athletes from around the world to compete in what was still the early era of modern Olympic competition, when medical understanding of heat-related illness was limited and safety protocols were virtually non-existent. The marathon course wound through rural areas with minimal water stations, creating conditions that would challenge even the most prepared athletes. Francisco Lázaro adjusted his racing number as he prepared to become Portugal's first Olympic marathon runner, his slight frame reflecting the determination that had brought him to Stockholm, despite his country's limited athletic resources. At 21, he had trained in Portugal's milder climate and was not accustomed to running in the extreme heat that would define this Olympic marathon. His presence at the Games represented Portugal's emergence in international athletics, and he carried the hopes of his entire nation on his shoulders. The marathon represented Francisco's chance to bring honor to Portugal in their Olympic debut, a responsibility he took seriously despite his youth and inexperience with extreme conditions. He had covered his body with oil or wax in an attempt to prevent sweating, following advice that would prove tragically misguided. The substance would impair his body's natural cooling mechanisms, contributing to the heat-related crisis that would claim his life. Francisco's preparation had been limited by Portugal's lack of resources and experience in international competition. He had trained diligently in his home country, but nothing could have prepared him for the combination of Olympic pressure and dangerous weather conditions he would face in Stockholm. His determination to succeed for Portugal would override his body's warning signals as the race progressed. The race began in already dangerous conditions, with the temperature climbing toward levels that would challenge any distance runner. Francisco started conservatively, but the heat began taking its toll on all competitors as they moved through the Swedish countryside. By the halfway point, he was showing signs of severe heat exhaustion, but his determination to finish and honor Portugal kept him moving forward. Spectators along the course noticed Francisco's distressed condition as he struggled through the later stages of the race, but there were no medical personnel stationed along the route to provide assistance. His body temperature was rising to dangerous levels as his natural cooling systems failed, compromised by the oil or wax he had applied to his skin. The combination of extreme heat, inadequate preparation, and misguided tactics created a perfect storm of medical crisis. Francisco collapsed at approximately the 19-mile mark, his body temperature reaching 106 degrees Fahrenheit as he suffered severe heat stroke. He never regained consciousness after falling to the ground, his Olympic dreams ending on a dusty Swedish road far from home. He was rushed to a Stockholm hospital, but the medical knowledge of 1912 was insufficient to treat such severe heat-related illness. Francisco died the following morning from complications related to heat stroke, becoming the first Olympic athlete to die from competition-related causes. His death shocked the international sports community and led to the implementation of medical stations and water stops along marathon courses. Portugal mourned their first Olympic athlete, and Francisco became a national hero, despite the tragic outcome, his sacrifice leading to improved safety protocols that would protect future Olympic marathoners. It was August 26, 1960, and the blazing Roman sun beat down mercilessly on the cycling course as temperatures soared to a dangerous 104 degrees Fahrenheit, creating conditions that would test human endurance to its absolute limits. The 100-kilometer team time trial represented one of cycling's most grueling events, requiring sustained effort over nearly 3 hours in heat that made even standing uncomfortable. The Danish cycling team was considered a medal contender, but the extreme conditions would transform their Olympic dreams into a fight for survival. Knud Enemark Jensen checked his bicycle one final time as he prepared for the team time trial that represented the culmination of years of training and sacrifice. At 23, the Danish cyclist had dedicated his life to reaching the Olympics, training through Denmark's harsh winters and competing across Europe to earn his place on the national team. His lean, powerful frame reflected countless hours of training, while his determination to succeed had brought him to Rome with hopes of Olympic glory. The Rome Olympics had drawn the world's best cyclists to compete in conditions that would challenge even the most prepared athletes. Knud and his Danish teammates had been preparing for months for this moment, studying the challenging Roman course with its hills and technical sections. The extreme heat was an unexpected factor that would test every athlete's ability to maintain performance, while their bodies fought to stay cool. Knud's preparation had been meticulous, with months of training designed to peak at the perfect moment for Olympic competition. He had studied the Roman course and prepared his equipment for the challenging conditions, working with his teammates to develop the precise timing required for success in the team time trial. His dedication to cycling had made him one of Denmark's most promising riders. The Danish team began the race with confidence, their training and preparation giving them legitimate hopes for a medal in the prestigious event. Knud settled into the punishing pace required for success, his body working at maximum capacity as the temperature continued to climb. The early stages proceeded normally, with the Danish team maintaining their position among the leaders. As the race progressed and the heat intensified, Knud began showing signs of severe distress that went beyond normal racing fatigue. The extreme physical exertion combined with the dangerous heat was overwhelming his body's natural cooling systems. His teammates noticed his deteriorating condition, but were focused on maintaining their pace in the brutal conditions affecting all competitors. During the latter stages of the race, Knud suddenly collapsed from his bicycle, falling heavily to the pavement and striking his head on the road surface. The combination of extreme heat exhaustion and the impact from his fall caused severe trauma that left him unconscious on the Roman street. Teammates and officials rushed to help, but Knud's condition was immediately critical. He was immediately transported to a Rome hospital where doctors worked frantically to save his life, treating him for both severe heat stroke and a fractured skull sustained in his fall. Despite medical intervention that represented the best available treatment of 1960, Knud's injuries proved too severe to overcome. His body had been pushed beyond its limits by the extreme conditions and traumatic impact. Knud Enemark Jensen died in the hospital. from the combination of heat stroke and head injuries sustained during his collapse. His death shocked the cycling world and highlighted the extreme dangers that athletes faced when competing in brutal weather conditions. The tragedy led to enhanced safety protocols for Olympic cycling events and better medical coverage for endurance competitions in extreme heat. Thanks for watching. Just when you think the Olympic Games represent the pinnacle of human achievement. Click the next video for more stories that will leave you questioning whether any dream is worth the ultimate price.